Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Guys, before starting, if you want to support this channel, giving it a like and a subscribe is a free way to do it, as I can continue to create more content like this. Now going into a track guide itself, turn 1 is essential because you can easily make or break your lap, because it leads to a huge straight, so the exit is super important. In terms of the braking, we will use this red fence in the wall right here as a reference for braking, because we want to brake slightly when the car will be on the same side with the fence. Like right now we're just barely passing with the nose that red part of the fence. Then we will brake in a straight line, and we'll brake quite hard. We can go to 80% or so, because it's still gonna be fine. We will bleed the brakes quite quickly. What's important though is to point the car early and to drop the brakes early, because once you hit the peak pressure, you just want to go into trail brake as quickly as you can to make the front tires point even more, because if you hold too much pressure, you will go into ABS and you will have less turning capability. And in terms of the apexing, you really want to get this close to the wall. The moment that you feel the curb, that's the moment that you should go back on throttle, because the grip levels in this corner are different. The mechanical grip is changing. When you go into this compression, when you go almost downhill into the curb, you will have more grip, and you have to take advantage of it by being early on the gas, like pushing the throttle aggressively. But the moment that the track starts to lift a bit, like right now, you will have a bit less grip and you can't fully commit. So as you can notice here in the throttle trace, up until a point, like up until 80%, it was going very aggressively, but then it had to ease off a bit and then aggressively back. So your throttle trace should reflect a slight modulation in the upper hand, just because the mechanical grip is changing. Now you will use all the track right now, and up until Lecombe is just a big straight, so we will skip to Lecombe. And for this corner, the reference for braking will be almost the middle of this curb. Like, we want to mount this curb completely. We want to be all the way to the grass with our left tires. Don't leave any space, because you must open up the next corner as much as you can. Then you're gonna apply the brakes. You don't have to brake very hard. You will go into third gear. But the goal will be to mount the green curb. So your vision should be right now on the green part of the curb, because you want to cut it all the way to the sand. And again, like turn 1, the moment that you touch the curb, you should go back on throttle. And what I like to do here in between this corner and the next is to reach 100% on the throttle, because if you are able to do it, then the moment that you will drop the throttle to take the left-hander, you will have more weight shifted to the front, because you will drop from 100% throttle to close to 0. So you will make the car rotate more, and you will also gain as minimum speed. In this attempt though, it wasn't that good. You see around 70% and dropping from 70%. So it can be improved. Try to get to 100%. You will get that by cutting a bit later, taking a bit later apex in the first corner. And for this one, you have to put your left tires to the left part of the curve. You see how much you can cut here, because the idea will be on the exit to be in the center left of the track. So cut as much as you can the curb. Now you will bring the car all the way to the left. The moment that you touch the white line, not the curb, the white line, then you should turn into the next corner. It's better to turn a bit earlier for this than to be hyper focused and looking at the curb and then turn too late and you won't make the corner. So anyways, you have to go flat out in this corner like this, keeping it flat, using all the space right here. And now for the downhill braking zone, you have to treat this almost like a double apex corner. The braking point will be the beginning of the curve. You want to brake, but not aggressively, because the car will lean forward and the ABS can trigger a lot easier here, so braking a bit softer, around 60-50%. This is our first apex at the beginning of the green. Now we will still be on the brakes, still trailing. The car is tracked up just a tiny bit wider, but not too much, just a tiny bit. And now still on the brakes, bring the car to the other green part of the curb right here. Let me go back a bit so you can see it. This one. You will apex around it and pushing the throttle, and anyways on the exit you shouldn't reach this curb. You shouldn't put your tire on this part of the curb because then the car goes too wide. You see, the limit is being close to the white line. If you go more than this, it will make the next corner trickier, because for the next corner you have to bring the car all the way on this curb like this. And then when you turn into this corner, super important, don't brake very hard, just barely brush the brakes, just to make the car point. And the moment that the car starts to point and you see that the car is going very close to the red sausage curb, then go and smash the throttle aggressively like this. You will use all the track, and it will make the minimum speed go a lot higher rather than if you brake very hard. Now for the next corner, pull on, very fast corner, the braking point will be the middle of the curb once again, but as you see, we're mounting the curb all the way to the grass. This is key because for all these corners you have to use everything. This will give you that extra 0.05 edge everywhere, and it will add up because this is a long lap, as you can see. Now in terms of braking in fourth gear, barely brush the brakes. You don't want to kill the momentum into this corner, you just want to make the front tires point. So the reference for apexing will be this part of the curb where the curb and the gravel or the grass is a bit meshed. So you see here there's a bit of dirt on the grass. This is the apex point. You want to still on the brakes up until here, then smash the throttle from this point onward, use all the track like this, and now you just have to relax your hands on your way out. You don't want to steer too much, you will scrub unnecessary speed. The next corner is a bit complex, like this last part of the track. We have to mount this curb completely. At the beginning of the curb we will start braking, and in terms of the general approach, this is a long sweeper, so we have to stay on the brakes more than we think. The apex point is not here where we see it, the curb, it's farther ahead. You see, still on the brakes, still trailing, still on the brakes, and at the end of this green we will go back on throttle. You see, this is the apex point, the end of the green part of the curb. If you're earlier than that on the throttle, you will go wide, you will mess up your line. If you're later on the gas, you will lose a bit on exit, so make sure you get the right timing. Now when you push the throttle, you have to think that you want to have the car all the way on the right side on your exit, like parallel with the white line. So in order to do this, we will cut a bit this curb like this. So right now you see the car is all the way right, and now for the next corner we will just do a small lift and cut this part of the curb, and this will give you like a good exit. Notice in the throttle trace, not many corrections, just a tiny lift. This is what you should be doing. And now for the corner that is the big straight, you have to bring the car quickly to the left side. Don't lose a lot of time on the exit on this one, because ideally you want, before applying the brakes, to have the car properly positioned to cut the curb a lot, like now. Notice that we're always leaning into these curves. And at the beginning of the curb you will apply the brakes. In third gear you will get very close to the end of the green here, and then you will smash the throttle aggressively. No corrections here on the throttle. If you do even a small correction like dropping the throttle, you will lose a lot of time. So keep the throttle pinned. The moment that you go on gas, you stay on gas, because you have to prioritize the exit. And now going into the bus stop chicane, reference for braking will be, it's a bit harder to properly find it, but what you can use is this 100-meter board, because at the 100 or slightly before the curb, we will apply the brakes. We'll brake quite hard for this corner. We're going to 80-85% on the braking. You want to open up before the turning point. So as you can see, we're braking in a straight line, but we went diagonally into the braking, and now we're going more and more into this curb to open up the corner. In second gear you will turn, and the idea of this chicane is to have the car positioned as far right as we can. So we're trying to hug this curb a lot. The moment that the car starts to point and it goes a bit uphill, we will push the throttle. Ideally we want to go 0-100% on the throttle between these two corners. Here you see it was around 74, so it can be a tiny bit improved with a later apex point. But then When you will drop the throttle, you will regain more front-end grip, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. And then go back on throttle while apexing late here, and in short, that's a track guide around Spa with the GR86. It's a fun combo, and I hope you'll have great success around here. And if you want to improve at a quicker pace, check out GitGudRacing.com, check out my course, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.